Welcome to Life in the Jungle, Season 1, Episode 6. Yes, it's a victory Monday, and it's always an extra little sauce on it when you beat the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Huh?
There's always a little extra sauce when you beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's your boy Coach Cam. I got the Pharaoh Alex B with me. What's going on?
Hey man, I'm loving life right now. It's a little too quiet though. I'm having a real hard time finding Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Maybe we can locate them during this broadcast.
Hey, maybe we'll take the comments too. Cause right now I can't find none. They quiet, and I'm just not used to it. Even when they lose, you see them chirping. Hey, it's a beautiful thing. We gonna dive into the game, get right into it, and also it's a quick turnaround with the Thursday night game.
Yep.
Where we got Jacksonville, so it's not too much time to really puff your chest out about the win. You got to come back. You got to do it again on Thursday night. Um, what stood out to you in the win against Pittsburgh yesterday, from your point of view?
I got a few bullet points before we get into specific guys and analysis from that standpoint. Number one,
Okay.
that's twice in a row against Pittsburgh. Uh,
Yes.
not something Bengals fans from our era are used to, so we're certainly gonna take that all day.
Hmm.
Also, we saw a lot of young guys getting some serious snaps out there and really held their own, if not succeeded and exceeded expectations in certain areas. Mainly speaking of my man Jackson Carman, who got his first start at guard and was really moving some stuff out of the way up front, particularly in that run game. But
Yeah.
bullet points that I wanted to start with: Pittsburgh Steelers, first time in over 75 regular season games, they did not record a sack.
Mm.
More importantly for us, after Joe Burrow being sacked 9 times the first 2 weeks, was not sacked.
Mm.
Zach Taylor, I'm going to be fair and say called a very well balanced game plan, which kept Pittsburgh back on their heels and allowed the Bengals to dictate instead of the defense dictating to them. It was just a well-rounded performance, and also this is the one stat that this is how you know we're in Cincinnati. It stood out to me.
Mm.
The Bengals. That is the first time they beat Pittsburgh by more than 10 points since 1995.
Yes. 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 That was good to me because I'm sitting up here the whole time and I'm watching the game. My boy Ben, he in the building watching, and I'm watching. I'm like, you know what? We got a chance to really beat them. Not
Yeah,
on no like 24-21. Not on no last second field goal. Like we have a chance to really beat them. And that's what I wanted. I said I wanted two touchdowns. Now I would have loved to win like 31-10 or something like that. I would have loved to have a little extra on it, but winning by two touchdowns, really dominating the football game. After that play to Jamar Chase, it seemed like that knocked the wind out of Pittsburgh before the half. You come back out and you follow that out with a touchdown drive. It's just huge. But yeah, man, I think it's the first time I seen, it's not a bullet point or any type of stat or anything, but it's the first time I really seen where we physically dominated Pittsburgh.
yeah.
We were the bullies for the first time that I've seen in a long time. That we were gonna just let our talking happen between the lines, and we was gonna punish them every play, and that was shocking to me.
Well, and the national media, I want to poke a little bit of fun at them too, because you could kind of hear it during the broadcast. They were already drumming up some, excuses. T.J. Watt's not in there, and yada yada yada. The Bengals more so than a lot of franchises have been hit hard, heavily with the injury bug over the past 5 or 6 seasons. That's
Mhm.
also contributed to one of the reasons why they haven't been back to the playoffs during that time span. But when it happens to the Bengals, it's more or less, oh, part of the game. Next man up. You got to do what you got to do. So I don't want to hear that. What stood out more than anything is that the Bengals were, and at this point are, the better football team. The Steelers may, at this point, and again, they got the right coach in place if you're going to make a turnaround. I don't anticipate them limping through the rest of the year without trying. But for right now, as Coach Parcells used to say, you are what your record says you are. And they look like the worst team in the AFC North Division right now. So the Bengals were just flat out the better team, is what stood out to me.
Yep, and you're absolutely right about that. And just look at some comments here. We've been forcing the run. Yeah, I mean, we've been stopping the run. I come on here every week, and say, stopping the run is the first and foremost thing that we could do to help your defense. Make a team one dimensional. We held Dalvin Cook 61 yards. David Montgomery. You held him under 70. And then you turn around and Najee Harris. Yeah, he had 14 catches for 102 yards, but that's dink and doink stuff. We'll live with that all day. Running
Yeah.
the ball, he had under 40 yards. So stopping the run was huge. Um, and just establishing that physicality from the first snap. That was definitely huge in the game. This defense is going to keep us in every single game. D line sets the tone for sure. Hey, they got some pass rushing, man. We have 4 sacks on Pittsburgh, and that's kind of like what we're not used to. We're usually on the other end of those 4 sacks, while normally Big Ben has all day in the pocket to throw the football. But we got him off his spot. He looked very uncomfortable, and and Trey Hendrickson, showing that his money, he's worth it. He get another sack this week, and your boy, who's you mentioned every week, Larry Ogunjobi, in the run game has just absolutely. Just to be in there, tackles for loss, make him cut in the backfield. He's been an absolute menace.
He
Um,
has been a problem for
yeah,
opposing teams. And I saw a BJ Hill sighting as well.
hey,
So
honestly, man, that's robbery what we did to the Giants. To get BJ Hill, who's already honestly, we didn't expect to him to have 4 sacks for the season. He has that in week, within 3 weeks. And we get a seventh round pick. You never know what that could turn out to be.
hey, that
Uh,
that can turn into another TJ Hushmanzada. Not likely, but you never know.
hey, you never know. So, you know, um, and just looking at this, looking at the team and looking at the players contributing, you do have to kind of tip your cap to to right now some of the draft classes. You're looking at Logan Wilson. He's leading the NFL in interceptions, and some of the plays he's making is looking, it's looking really, really looking like he's going to be an elite linebacker. You look at Davis Gaither finally getting the snaps and is very good in coverage. Um, you know, Even you go back to Jermaine Pratt, playing well, on run downs, being that linebacker, that run stuffer. I'm just looking at, kind of, how we drafted here. You go look T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, and, I can name quite a few more. They're contributing right away. Um, Cam Sample, he got his first sack Sunday. So if you just look at it, man, they're finally, getting the pieces they need. It's up to them to make sure they put them in the best positions to succeed. And that's what stood out to me. A lot of first year, second year guys contributing and building a foundation for this team that the future is very, very bright.
Yeah, and they're comfortable with the system that they've been in for the last couple years. To his credit, Zach Taylor has made some adjustments going forward. This is not the same scheme, even when the run game isn't necessarily gashing, which it was yesterday. They were
Yes, it
gashing
was.
Pittsburgh. He's staying with it because I think he understands the importance of at least keeping the opposing defense honest and not being able to key in on what you're doing. So I like that so far. And Joe Mixon, again, is one of the best weapons in the league, so we have to use him. But getting back to that defense that you were talking, I felt like Logan Wilson is exactly what the Bengals wanted when they drafted Nick Vigil a few
Yeah,
years back, and he
yeah,
never turned into. You got
yeah,
that small linebacker, kind of undersized, but it's got that high end motor. It's going to fly around and make plays, and that's exactly what he's been doing. He showed it last year as a rookie, his tendency to be able to intercept the ball and play in space, and he certainly is doing it again this year. And of course, I have to tip my cap to that back end. I've said it before, but we have the best safety duo in the league. I'm not
Mhm.
taking any opposition to that right now.
Yeah.
Jesse Bates and Von Bell all over the field, and this Von Bell guy, I've been singing his praises since he was in high school. Sometimes you just see it, and you know when you
Mhm.
see it. And I think it's starting to translate. Guys like him are stepping up into a leadership role on the defense, and there's an expectation now when they take the field each week, and they're shutting teams down. And I don't see that stopping anytime soon. Like you said, we got a quick turnaround with Jacksonville. We welcome Coach Urban Meyer into town on Thursday.
Yeah.
Not looking too good so far down there, but tip my cap to my fellow Bearcat alum, and he won national championships at Florida and the. So it'll be an interesting game and a quick turnaround. But before we get to the Jacksonville game, we kind of talked about Pittsburgh and what they had out of the lineup. Bengals had some guys out of the lineup too.
Yeah.
Mainly T. Higgins did not play, and we got to see Tyler Boyd be more involved. There's levels
Yeah.
to this. Now, obviously, he wants to bring it anytime he plays his hometown team in Pittsburgh. But I'm really liking what we got going. We saw a couple other guys out on the field. Chris Evans, who we had been calling for,
Yes.
and made a really key reception out of the backfield on a
Mhm.
third down conversion. Mr. Tate, on Tate, was also out on the field getting some snaps. So it's really fun to watch the depth that we now have, and knock on wood, while everybody's still healthy. So you can sprinkle guys in when you want to versus having to.
Yeah.
This is something that they can build on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a big win. It's a big win for Zach Taylor. It's a big win for this young group, knowing they can go into a place like Pittsburgh and get a win. Just to touch on this comments before I get going here. Let's see here.
Give
Give
it
it
up
up for
for
Dirty
Dirty
Lou.
Love.
Dirty- hey, hey, Lou doing his thing. Lou said, "Give me my pieces and then judge me from there." And hey, it is panning out for him. Let's see here. Facts. Let's see. Great win in the Steel City. I agree with that, Kenny. I think he's referring to Von Bell. Completely evolved this game. He's a hitter now. He wasn't like that in high school and college. And let's see here. And Trevor Lawrence will be 0-2 against Burrow come Thursday. I believe so too, Kenny.
Well,
But
that's a good point that he made about Von Bell. If I could, take that one.
yeah.
Coming out of high school down in Georgia, Von Bell played more free safety, and also he did at Ohio State. His job was to more so fly around and be a ball hawk in the secondary and get interceptions and kind of play the passing game. But they put him in the box when he got down there to New Orleans. And as you can see, when you look at Von Bell, he's buffed up himself and started to fit that role. So
Mhm.
it's becoming of him is what they asked him to do. And Jesse Bates is more the ball hawk at the free safety. So yeah, he's definitely setting the tone when he comes up bringing the wood. I've always liked that out of a strong safety. And what I like about him is he's clean when he does it. It's very hard to come up and bring the wood nowadays from the safety position and not be penalized. And
Mhm.
Von Bell has really put in work. You can tell with his foot positioning and everything that when he brings the wood, he's not costing us 15 yards.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And um, one thing, and we got to touch on him, you know, is that guy Uno Jamar Chase does it again. Another 30+ yard touchdown catch. Uh, he had 4 catches, 65 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's now
What's the
four.
name of this episode, by the way?
Hit that gritty. You know what I mean? Hit that gritty. We gotta hit that gritty. And I mean, he what we want. He what you want. I understand the line still, I'm not saying it's perfect after that, but Jackson Carmen seems like that could be a solid piece at guard. Now, if you got that piece at guard and your tackles are okay, your tackles are fine. And if Joe Burrow get that type of time that he got Sunday, Man, look, the offense has just scratched the surface, and I think that's what I'm excited about, is because the offense is just now starting to get going.
hmm
And what you starting to see is Burrow getting comfortable. I yelled at the TV. I don't care if it got called back with holding. I yelled at the top of my lungs, like, yes, Joe Burrow is back, when he scrambled around, evaded those 3 sacks, and got some positive yardage out of it. I said that's what we needed to see. That was the
Well,
final check mark, of his box, to not just sit up there and eat sacks, because that's not Joe. That's not the Joe that we saw last year. Don't get me wrong, the line was bad last year, but he wasn't just sitting there eating sacks. He was doing everything he could possible to get away, and he wasn't doing that this year. And
where
to
you
see
were
that now,
yelling out of joy, I was yelling out of concern when he took off. Get down, stop being funny, Joe. But you're right, it is good to see him because that was actually part of his game coming out of
yeah,
college too.
improvise.
Mobility, extending plays. I mean, no, he's not going to turn into Steve Young or Michael Vick, but that is an important part of Joe's game, and he's not going to be a sitting target now. You can see him get out of the pocket more, and hopefully with guys like Jackson Carman, stepping up, it might be something that he doesn't have to worry about, too often having to scramble. But it's nice to see him be able to do it when he has to.
Yes, absolutely,
So
absolutely.
I think honestly, Jackson Carman in the in the run game, I think Jackson Carman really stood out to me. I mean, he was moving guys out of the way, and you could even see another one of my former guys from my state university, Mr. Cam Hayward. He was really upset. See, because he's used to having his way with the Bengals, and
Hmm.
this wasn't his game. And like you said, even when we beat them, it's usually schematically or we just had the better athletes. No, we out physical Pittsburgh, and we were the better football team. So even they had a problem dealing with that yesterday.
And Mike Tomlin on the sideline, he kind of, you had that look sometimes where, you just don't know what to do exactly, and you kind of feel helpless. You know what I mean? He's just kind of looking at the scoreboard, and I'm used to, Marvin, and or Zach Taylor looking up like that at the end of a game, and he was just looking like, like, we were the better team. We were the better team, and that felt good to see that we were the better team and we played like the better team. That's
And he
what.
and he knew that. Mike Tomlin is not one that hides his emotions really well on the sideline. So you can always kind of tell what's going through his mind. Now he keeps his composure as far as being cool, but you can read his facial expressions, and that was something foreign to him. Also, is being in a game against the Cincinnati Bengals, particularly at Heinz Field, and not being in control of the action on the field. So they got a lot of things to figure out in Allegheny County, but I'm really encouraged about what we have going on here in Hamilton County because it really and you can chime in on this too. Didn't
Mhm.
it seem like as the game was going along, this was one of those, and again, not being a prisoner of the moment, but it just felt like a changing of the guards moment.
Oh yeah, Ben
It's
Dunn,
yeah, it's
Joe
changing the next.
Burrow, is the new, young guy ready to, take that throne. It did feel like that. It did feel like that, just
But
because how we won the game.
what cemented it though, even with us winning, is before we got to the end of the game, Chris Boswell, Steelers kicker, who has really delivered some knives in the coffin to us Bengals fans over the year, was
Yeah.
31 of 31 all time field goals against the Bengals. When he got up there and missed his field goal, I said, "Oh, we got this."
Yep, yep. It just wasn't their day. We'll take some of these comments here. Uh, Chase definitely is balling. It's a beautiful sight to see. I'm even more impressed with the defensive front. Yeah, we discussed it. Defensive front is just absolutely, kind of, grabbing the game by the throat, man, and really dominating up front. And that's what you gotta have. You gotta have that, trench work up front. We've been talking about it on both sides of the ball. Let's see here. Uh, he was getting nasty. Yeah, absolutely. Uh, see, there we go. We got a hater. We got a hater in the house. My boy, talking about some, man. Are y'all serious? When is the parade? It's not about a parade. We get it. We got 14 weeks left. It's not about us throwing a parade. It's not about us, you know, saying we're going to the Super Bowl or winning 14 games.
You haven't heard us say any of that. But what we do on Life in the Jungle is we take it week by week and we
Yep,
celebrate victories.
absolutely. And there's nothing wrong to celebrate a victory. I feel like the Bengals are the only team or the only fan base that get bashed when we celebrate a victory. Like everybody else can celebrate their dubs, be happy about their wins. When we happy about our wins, we don't get no. We gotta be quiet. We can't celebrate ours. That don't make no sense. Yeah, we gonna celebrate beating the Pittsburgh Steelers because we feel like it's a changing of the guard. We feel like you know that this is a time where when we see them in November, the same thing gonna happen. That's what we think and that's how we feel. And the teams and where we looking at the teams, it's no reason why it shouldn't be that way.
Exactly.
So of course I'm ecstatic. We're 2-1 right now. Uh, Everybody tell me before the season we're terrible, and you got analysts saying we should have did this, did that. Who cares? Like we're 2-1. We got a chance to go 3-1.
Well, a lot of it is muscle memory, and you're right. And I did see the post game speech with Zach Taylor telling the guys, "Hey, celebrate! Look, we're glad we won. We're glad we beat Pittsburgh. We have to put emphasis on that, but I need your best on Thursday." And I think and believe that hopefully the guys will be ready to go. But you have to in moments like this because when you get guys like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase who are going to come in and have fresh faces and change the dynamic, this is exactly what you need. It happened up the road in Cleveland. We saw what getting a few new pieces and a guy like Baker Mayfield, who at least is not afraid of the moment, when it comes about and their front office being aggressive, going out getting people like OBJ and other people to, help out on defense. You have to celebrate in those times. Yes, we got plenty of more games to go. But for an organization that has not beat the Pittsburgh Steelers back to back since 2012 and 2013, yes, you're going to get a little bit of this from us and deservedly so.
Yep, absolutely. And Corey made a good point too. The confidence that this team plays with. Tyler Boyd today said, he was pretty up straight up about it. Like Pittsburgh quit. Towards the middle of the end of the fourth quarter, Pittsburgh quit. And of course you got people like, oh, don't say that. You know, who cares? Honestly, if they quit, they quit. It is what it is. I saw three drops at the end of that game that they could have easily caught for first down and kept playing. They just
Well, you could see
dropped the
that in,
ball.
in Ben's body language when that happened. He's just like,
He just like they done quit. I quit. Like they quit. They did.
they
They-
did. They were befuddled. And again, I think it goes back to the same reason we're celebrating, the same reason it looks so bad on their end. They are so used to coming in and dominating the Cincinnati Bengals and
Mhm.
having that big brother mentality, which, by the way, I'm not using that term anymore. And if they beat them in November, I'm certainly not using that term going
No.
forward anymore. But that is all part of the mental aspect of the game, too. When you Big Ben and you looking at a team that you have had like this since you came into the league, dictating to you what's going to happen. And I think he realizes that he doesn't have it, anymore. And I'm going to throw a little bit of an olive branch to Big Ben, and I'm going to go ahead and not bury him in the dirt, but I'm going to give him a applause for having a Hall of Fame career, being a first ballot, gold jacket recipient whenever he does hang it up. But I think it is clear that that should probably be very soon, probably by the end of this year. And that's okay. You look around the rest of the division, the rest of the league. It wasn't just the Bengals yesterday. I saw Justin Herbert go into Kansas City and beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. There's a new era that's coming along in the NFL, and some of these teams are changing their culture, the narrative out there about them. And so what? If we want to gloat as Bengals fans and we're trying to get that pendulum going in the right direction, this is how you do it. You beat a team that you haven't had success against over the past decade, and this is where it starts. So I'm like pleasantly surprised. I think the defensive line, as everybody has mentioned, some of the comments that we've had, it's really setting the tone out the jump. You can't really run the ball against the Cincinnati Bengals right
Now, I ain't been able to say that in a long time.
now.
You can't run the ball against the Bengals. That feel good to say because, like I said, you could throw on me all you want, but there's something about where a team just gets 6, 5, 6 on the ground. That's just mentally, it's demoralizing. Mentally and physically when a team just totes on you like that. Let's see here. And J. Cool said, then y'all beat them last year. Should have been last year when we basically took the throne. Yeah, we did beat them last year with Ryan family, and sometimes you kind of feel like, not say it's a fluke or anything, but we wanted to see if we could back it up and win again.
Well, I
And
think leading into that game last year, I think Pittsburgh had won, was it 11 straight
something like
against
that,
us?
yeah,
So, yeah, and again, I pride myself as an analyst, journalist, even as a fan, not being a prisoner of the moment. At least I tried my hardest not to. So that's why you didn't get much of a reaction, from me last year. But even in that game, Pittsburgh had everything to play for. They were still competing for a division title and going to the playoffs, and they let a hapless Bengals team at that point that didn't have any momentum come out and shell shock them last year. And I think maybe that was one of the things that at least gave the Bengals some confidence to end last year and not let Zach Taylor's message get but so stale to the point where they could say, you know what, let's get us a go again. We get Joe back, we get some of the guys back that we had, out. Guys get another year in their system. Let's see what happens. And this is what we kind of expected because the Bengals are still young. The tale of two teams really. Last week we didn't play well. But even in that, we came away 3 points away from tying that game and had a chance to win at the end of that game. This week, you turn around, you go on the road and completely blow out a team in front of their home stadium. I'm not used to hearing Pittsburgh Steelers fans boo Pittsburgh in Heinz Field. That felt good. I'm not gonna lie about that.
yeah, exactly. And I think Corey hit it on the head. It looked different. You know what I mean? We've beat them before, but it looked different. Like we literally like bullied them. Pittsburgh tried their little antics. We wasn't on it. We was just looking. We was just simply worried about beating them in between the lines and punishing them. For football wise, and it was great to see. Um, and like I say, I feel like we just tipping the iceberg of this offense. We're gonna start seeing the offense that we expected to see. But I said at the beginning of the year, the first 6 weeks, the defense has to rise to the occasion until Joe shakes over some mental hurdles, and I think we're getting to that point now to where the offense can. Uh, the offense can now start putting up some points and being comfortable because I looked, it wasn't a whole bunch of yards from the offense, but I thought they were pretty efficient. You look at Joe Burrow 14 to 18, 170 72 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. Joe Mixon for 90 yards, 18 carries. So you had the great balance there, and we was efficient. We just couldn't get on the field because they was dinking doinking and eating up 6 or 7 minutes, but not scoring,
Well,
not
but that's
scoring as
that's
well.
kind of what you want, though, right? You want
Yep.
your team to make the plays that are there, and even if your offense isn't out on the field a whole bunch, convert when you are, and that's certainly what the Bengals are trying to do. I was a little worried at the beginning of the game when Joe tried to force another pass in there, got batted up in there, and got intercepted. But one thing I do know about Joe Burrow is he's very poised. He does not get rattled even when it looks like there's potential for it to get out of hand. He's always confident in his arm and what he can do. And Jamar Chase, you got to give it to him. The guy's a difference maker. Um, I feel like I'm gonna see that Griddy at least once or twice a game now, so I'm prepared
Mhm.
for it. And you're gonna get that Griddy on Life in the Jungle and all our posts going
Yep.
forward. Anytime
Mhm.
Uno does something, so it was very good to see, particularly with a key weapon like T Higgins out of the game, that we still had guys stepping up and making plays, and that's what gives you confidence. So hopefully, as we look forward to Jacksonville, is there anything Jacksonville has that concerns you? Not to be too arrogant, but are you concerned at all about Jacksonville?
I'm concerned because it's a Thursday night game, not because it's prime time. It's just such a short turnaround. Thursday night games are just funky, man. You never know what'll happen in them. Anybody can win them. I'm not thrilled about them, to be
Yeah, I don't like
honest.
it. I really
Uh,
don't.
I'm not. So I'm not gonna sit up here and dismiss Jacksonville. Jacksonville, their NFL football team, a team that wants a victory. Um, but we are the superior team. I do expect. I want a big win here. I want a big win here. I want a 30-14 type of win, 31-14. Like I want to let people know and put people on notice. The only football game on that night. So I want people to wake up Friday morning and say, "Hey, I want to ask this question, Alex. I want to ask, are the Bengals for real?" That's what type of game that I want them to have against the Jags. So the next morning, they wake up on ESPN and say, "Well, are the Bengals for real?" Is that a legit question? Can we ask that? Are the Bengals pretenders or contenders? That's what I want because anything less, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna be disappointed because if we win, we win. But it's steps that we need to take and key steps like it's levels. Now a level to let you know that you a superior, not superior team. I'm not gonna consider us like a top of the AFC, but let us know that we met possibly a wild card or a playoff team. You beat Jacksonville by two scores. You beat Jacksonville by 14-17.
And that's what I was going to say. You want to know if they're for real or not, at least through the first quarter of the season. Well, in the first quarter of the season, by beating the football team that you should beat. Like you said, this is the NFL. Everybody out there is getting paid. These are the best football players in the world. So you have to respect your opponent as far as that's concerned. But this is a game that the Bengals should win. Any other Tom Jones foolery that takes place would be a setback. We
Big
need
setback.
we need, like you said, a couple score separation and victory, not to be a threat going into the third, fourth quarter. Hopefully, guys stay healthy too, because that's what I worry about in these Thursday night
Yep.
games. The Bengals traditionally have had guys go down, be it Geno Atkins, and these weird short turnarounds. So you want guys to stay healthy, but you got to go for the dub. You got to protect your home turf. And if the Bengals can end the first quarter of the season 3-1, uh, that's shocking everybody here in Cincinnati, but even the national pundits are gonna have to eat a little crow if that happens.
Yep, absolutely. And just to tap into the comment section here, we got like a new visitor here, Dwight Wells. Come here, y'all, give us a who they, Dwight. Of
Hey,
course, you always gonna get one of those. Let's see here. Yeah, well, Corey was just basically saying like basically we normally win because of a mistake they make. Like we came in this game and we took the game, and it does feel good. It does feel good. And Jay Coop, he don't like the Bengals, so he said just because Joe was in the game, now it's different. No, that's not the reason why it was different. It was different because how we won and how we snatched the victory. Like we took the victory. They didn't give us anything. We took it from them. We was the
no,
most.
and let me tag
Go
team on
ahead.
that. It it was different because we didn't have a third string, particularly maybe not even supposed to be in the league quarterback, and Ryan Finley at the helm. Where we beat Pittsburgh last year, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, when they still had everything to play for at the time and were like 11-1 or something like that. No, but we mentioned that plenty of times. It was the trajectory of the game, because if you go over the history of this Bengals Steelers rivalry, even when we win, it's a last second drive like that we put together, be it 2015 or going back to '09 when Carson Palmer led one of the rare victories at Paul Brown, that we've seen. Or we get out in front of Pittsburgh a whole bunch and they come roaring back and we're just holding on, by our dear lives to win the football game. So what we're talking about is the Bengals pretty much being in control of the football game from start to finish. And our great teams here in Cincinnati have usually been heavy offensive, power teams, but more on the finesse side, out scheming, out, quicking athletes, getting in space. No, we punched Pittsburgh in the mouth. So if you
Yeah.
want to talk about it, that's what we're referring to, is how it looked different. And even the body language of a Mike Tomlin, who realize, yeah,
This
times
ain't
be
our
a,
day.
times be a changing, as the old heads would say.
Yep, absolutely. And Dwight repeated what I said earlier. The biggest game of the game, biggest play of the game, and maybe the year is when Joe juke spin and then got upended on the quarterback, and then called the quarterback draw for a first down. That showed he got the confidence and the swag back. Like Joe Mixon said, Joe Burrow got that swagger back now. Like it's all the way back. Because even Joe even said, I never thought I'd check an audible into a draw. He was like, I didn't think I would do that all year, just based on how I feel physically. But I think it's past him physically, it's past him mentally, and I think we got our guy back. That's huge. Like I said, because his escapability also helps the offensive line as well. And him was just standing there in the pocket just wasn't good.
And Joe being back in the game is different. Just to follow up on that one last time, because that is our guy. That is the guy that we're hitching the wagon to, and our franchise guy going forward. I mean, if Steelers fans want to be honest about it, um, Bill Cowher was having some problems, towards the end of his tenure when Tommy Maddox was in there and so forth. Steelers were kind of on a downhill trajectory, and the rest of the NFL was stupid in letting Ben Roethlisberger slide to pick number 11 in the 2004 NFL draft. Because going into that, and I know this is going back in the past a bit, but I thought that both Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, or all three, I should say, Ben Roethlisberger, were going to pan out. And I think we can say reasonably they all did. Obviously, Eli had 2 Super Bowl wins. Big Ben had 2. Phillip Rivers, can't really blame him, but I think he had a Hall of Fame, career. Pittsburgh really wasn't even supposed to get Big Ben, but he fell into their lap at number 11 and
Hmm.
thus changed the trajectory of the franchise. And like you mentioned earlier, so we got a guy that potentially is going to do the same thing, has roots here in Ohio, that we feel good about, but it seems like we're getting plastered for being excited about that.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with it, man. We're gonna continue to be excited about our wins and about our W's. Hey, that's just hey, it is what it is. But I mean, I understand what he's saying. He's basically saying like, we should have seen it coming last year because we beat them with a third string quarterback. You know what I mean? And
Well,
I
to
get
me, Ben has
that.
been done for a couple years, to be honest. But
Yeah.
it's one of those things as a Bengals fan, you can't really pile on and say that until your team starts going out and doing what they're doing now, which is walking away with the W. Because you had to
Yep.
stay in the moment. We can go back and talk about what's happened in the past, but that is exactly what that is. It's the past. So now you got 2 consecutive victories against Pittsburgh. This is changing the dynamic right now of that rivalry, this division. Cleveland, went the furthest last year and almost had the 2-time defending AFC champs, on the ropes in the playoffs. It's a different era.
Yep, and look, I got too much, you obviously, and I was with you. I got too many Buckeye fans here in the chat. I feel, I know you a Buckeye guy. I got Jay
Get the
Coop,
people what
he
they
a big
want,
Buckeye
man.
guy, and now I got Antonio here commenting. It's Haskins time, go Bucks. Like it's too. Hey, you know what? You know what? Give me Haskins. That's a free W. I'm sorry. It's a free that's a free W if you give me Haskins. That's a free W. So I will if you want to replace Big Ben, give me
What
Haskins.
wasn't Haskins brought in potentially to be the heir apparent to Big Ben though?
possibly, possibly. I don't know if that's gonna happen though. If you Pittsburgh, you got to look at drafting a quarterback. You
Well,
got to look at that.
well, we know Mason Rudolph is not the long term answer. So
Hey,
what is an issue with putting a former first round pick in who is not a talent thing with Dwayne Haskins? It's more, between the ears and, is he studying? Does he even want to play football, or is he worried about, throwing stripper parties with his, girlfriend? I don't know. Look, we all know where my allegiance goes as far as college football, but that aside, I don't make excuses for guys either. So I don't know what Dwayne Haskins is at this point either, but I'm saying, what does Pittsburgh, have to lose? Because Big Ben is looking, awful. I mean, there's no other way to say that right now. And like I said, I feel like he's been done for the past few years, but the last 2 years in particular, you can just see the chinks in the armor where physically Big Ben can't do it anymore. I mean, this is a guy that put his body on the line for most of his career and played that way, and the Reaper's coming out now.
Yeah, it's definitely coming out because even some of the sacks that we got, I was thinking back in the day like that. He used to bust away from those
Oh
and
man,
throw it for about 30 to AB
yeah, with
for a
two
first down.
guys
And you
hanging
like,
on him, slinging 50 yards downfield.
exactly, exactly.
He was
So
letting guys with one arm bring him down yesterday.
exactly, and that was like that ain't the being I know, but that's cool with me. As soon as I seen he was gonna come back for another year, I was like, oh, this is perfect. It's perfect because I already knew what it was. But let me see. Let me see. Let's see here. We got one. She said, "Man, this y'all Bengals a let's see a playoff level team." Ah,
It's too
I
early to
don't.
tell.
Yeah,
I
but
think.
I would like our chances. I like our chances around 9 wins, 8 or 9 wins, if we can continue to play like that. And you never know where they may get you. 9 and 8 may get you in a wild card. We don't know, but I'm anxious to see how we follow up tonight. I mean, yesterday, Thursday night. I
Mm,
want to see how we follow that up, and I want to see how we compete against the Packers. That's going to let me know if we are going to be hanging around this playoff hunt all year long. Because I want to see if we can really compete with the Packers. We ain't necessarily. I mean, of course, I'm not a moral victory guy at all by any stretch of the imagination, but I want to see us go toe to toe with one of the best teams in the league.
well, Keyshawn Johnson has spoke about this. It was either after week 1 or week 2. How every season is a new season, a new dynamic, and you may start the season thinking that a certain team is going to be, ooh, that's a difficult one on the schedule, and as things play out, your strength of schedule changes because you don't know who's winning, who's losing. Injuries
Injuries.
may impact that. Now all of a sudden, that Green Bay game does not look as tough as maybe it did previously. Now you still got Aaron Rodgers, you still got Devontae Adams, and a great Green Bay team that you got to compete against. But I'm not nearly as scared or oh brother as I was walking into this season beforehand. Looking at the schedule, like I don't know about that one. I think the Bengals have a chance to compete. It's going to be here in Cincinnati, which is another plus. But again, you have to take it week by week because, as Coach Parcells said, you are what your record says you are. Right now, they're in the thick of things, is what I'll say. We don't know if they're a playoff team, but again, you finished the first quarter of the season on Thursday with a victory against the Jaguars. You're now 3-1. You're
Yeah.
squarely in the playoff conversation. You're still going to, at worst, in that week, still tied or maybe in sole possession of first place in the AFC North, depending on what happens. So, as of right now, it's a we'll see. But the Bengals have put themselves in position, yes, to be a playoff team.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Just some of the comments here. Let's see. We got Corey saying, "Come to the good side." Nah, man, I'm already on the good side, brother. Um, let's see here. We got too early, but the defense looks good. I agree with that. Uh, whoa, we're going throwing it back here. If Martavius Bryant gets reinstated, do you think Pittsburgh picks him up? No, I don't think so. I think that ship is sailed. Josh Gordon is the only one that gets 9 lives. He's a former All Pro and got the credentials for that.
And
Uh,
Pittsburgh, historically, if they cut ties with you due to behavioral issues, I think James Harrison was the only one that I can remember that they actually brought back into the fold. Usually, when they finally wash your hands of you, be it Santonio Holmes, former Super Bowl MVP from or several other guys, Le'Veon Bell, when they're done, that's it. I don't see Martavius Bryant. I can't even remember the last time I saw him play, so I don't think that's an option for them. Pittsburgh has a lot of holes, mainly up front. If they're going to keep Big Ben healthy, that they probably need to look at first.
yes, exactly. Dwayne Crimson, nah, Karen, we 16-1. Hey, hey, I wouldn't be mad at that at all. I wouldn't be mad at it at all. But yeah. So looking looking ahead, is there any concerns that you may have regarding Thursday night? Now, it is a concern. I did forget. Um, Woozier got banged up.
Hmm.
His groin towards the I think I want to say the middle of the third quarter, end of the third quarter, heading into the fourth. And they sat him out. They sat him out the fourth quarter. They put Phillips in. Um, that's kind of a concern for me, especially with Trey Waynes having played a snap in the Bengals uniform. Now you're talking about Eli Apple and Darius Phillips. I guess so. If that's a concern for me going into Thursday night, is maybe not having Waynes or Owuzie, one or the other, and if not both healthy.
It's not a concern yet, and it's specifically to answer your question. I'm still not concerned for Thursday night. Now, beyond Thursday night, yeah, that would be a problem. So we don't know when Trace is coming back. I heard he's progressing with his hamstring injury. That's still tough because that's one of those injuries that can resurface at any point in time during a year. But you got to think at some point just getting him on the field, as long as he stays healthy, is going to be a win. So I still think they have enough guys to get through Thursday night. But boy, if Awuzie is down going forward, then yeah, we might have some concerns.
Yeah, yep. I agree with that. Yeah. So far as looking into Thursday night, as far as we said, we're really not too concerned. Overall, obviously the game has to be played. The Bengals have to take care of business. We can't come out flat. We can't have the big head. Can't have our chest poked out after a big division win. Um, or is there anything you would like to see Thursday night? For me, like I said, I want to see a blowout victory. I want to see Joe Burrow. I kind of want to see Joe Burrow get 300 yards pass, and I want to see, now I don't want to forget about Mixon, because Joe Dean has been toting that ball, and so I don't want to get too fancy or too cute, as people would like to say. But I would like to see Joe get back to slinging that rock around.
Well, what I want to see is kind of the opposite, and this may be my old school football coming out. I want to see Joe Mixon carry us to a victory on Thursday night. Run the ball, get out of
That's
dodge,
the safe bet.
uh, keep it simple. Don't let a team like Jacksonville, have any confidence and stick around, this game past, halftime, because that's how crazy things happen out of nowhere. They don't have a lot of confidence right now. I'm hearing about some internal strife in that locker room as Urban Meyer and some of his tactics, which were derived from college, where he spent all of his career at, is that translating with some of the guys. Look, man, strike early, put them on their heels. Let's see some arguments on the sideline with Jacksonville, some confusion and everything. Remind Trevor Lawrence that he's not the golden child anymore. He's just another rookie in the NFL, and make this an easy football game. And also running the ball, I think, kind of decreases the chance for some guys to come up lane and get injured. So run the ball, get out of dodge, get you a two or three, score lead, shorten the game, and let guys get some rest. That's what I want to see.
Yep. You know what? That don't sound like a big plan. Long as either plan lead us to a win and injury free, I
And,
think.
and one Griddy too, just
Yeah,
one.
yeah. You gotta have one, and he done gave it to us every game. He like gave us a celebratory end zone dance. Well, not against the Bears because we was losing, but he touched that end zone every game, and that's exactly what we wanted. And maybe, and just maybe, the Chase and Carmen combo was just perfect, because the same way we could say you just can't get a lineman, you can't just get a Uno. Uno is special.
uh,
Uno is special, and he's on pace for my prediction: 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns. He's on pace. I'm saying that could slow down, but he's on pace.
well, and everybody else may not be privy to our off the record conversations, but again, I'm not rooting against the young man from doing so,
No,
because
no, no, no.
I know
Yeah,
what that means for us. So I hope he does.
yeah.
And we'll touch on it for the last time. Everybody that wants to have a debate on what the Bengals should have did at number 5. Hey, look, it's working. It looks like the right pick right now. Bengals are dynamic. We still have some issues up front. We mentioned it earlier. Let's not totally kid ourselves into thinking that we have an elite offensive line by any stretch right now. But Frank Pollock is certainly doing his job, coaching guys up, getting guys, ready to play. From what I heard about Jackson Carman, the way he showed up out of shape and had him, third on the depth chart, to see him actually start a game and hold his own and actually exceed expectations was great. I saw, Deontay Smith was, active as well out there. So, we're getting some young guys up front that may be able to help ease our concerns with the offensive line. So right now, Jamar Chase is Uno. Give him his nickname, his moniker. I don't have any problems with it. Let's keep this thing going Thursday. Just to finally recap on our second victory in a row against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's give out some game balls, man. Let's start offensively. Who gets your game ball on offense for the Bengals?
Game ball on offense, man. I think you gotta pair them up. I think you got I give Joe a game ball, and I give Uno a game ball. I think those are my two game balls. Honorable mention Tyler Boyd, just because I felt like that play really, really, really got us going. Him break that tackle and then scurry in for the touchdown. I think that really kind of set the tone for the game and got us going.
I'm going counterintuitive like I usually like to do in the field of journalism. I'm giving a game ball to the offensive line. I don't care if TJ Watt was sitting on the sideline or not. He gave up 9 sacks through the first 2 weeks. Joe came away unscathed against a division rival with no sacks yesterday. So we talk about him quite a bit, and deservedly so, when they underperform. Let's give them some credit when they step up to the plate.
Yep, 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 absolutely. So on the defensive side of the ball, what are some of your game balls if you
Well, we got to give a game ball out to Logan Wilson with those two
yeah,
interceptions.
that's unanimous.
From there, I know we were talking down at the goal line when Jesse Bates, it got called back for offensive pass interference anyway, but he made that open field tackle even at the goal line where it's like showing the Pittsburgh, it's not even going to be easy when y'all get down here.
Hmm.
So Logan Wilson for sure. Outside of that, man, can I give a whole game ball to the defensive line? Trey Hendrickson,
Sure.
Larry Ogunjobi, both sides of the ball. Again, we talk about a lot of the other stuff that looks, great and flashy on TV. Still comes down to who blocks and tackles the best. Certainly, the Bengals did that better yesterday, and that's why they got a victory.
Yep, yep, yep. And I agree, Logan Wilson. That's unanimous there. Um, I'm necessarily not gonna get this guy a game ball, but a guy that really does good and helping stuff to run with Reader is Josh Tupu. I think he does a really, really, really good job, and really stuffing that run. And like I said, 3 weeks in a row where the run game has just been non-existent for the opposition. And like I say, anytime you can make a team one-dimensional or you can take away something, that's always a great thing. You can't allow teams to do both. You can't allow them to
Yeah.
gas you in the run and the pass, and that's where you just really, uh, really at a disadvantage. Now, before I'll touch on a few comments before we give our picks, because basically we just gonna give a score prediction. Because we both feel like we have the advantage on that. Brian said he got Uno on my fantasy team, so he need a couple. Hey, I ain't mad at you. He might give you a couple. Make sure you're starting. He started to be to a point where you got to start him every week. Let's see. Corey said Jags just traded the only DB I've ever heard of. C.J. Henderson did get traded today to the Panthers. Let's see here. Talk about TB running over Ingram. Yeah, we were just talking about how that kind of set the tone for the day. So yeah, that was definitely great. Yeah, levels. Carmen got a dose of Munoz. Got a dose of Munoz to help him get together. Hopefully, he keeps growing. Yeah, I think he will, man. I think he will. He has the talent. He has the pedigree. Now it's just about becoming. Sound like to me, it's just about becoming a pro, taking care of himself.
I think
making
that's
sure
what
it
it'll
works.
come down to for Jackson Carmen. I mean, the guy's had elite talent since he was in high school. I know during the offseason he worked with another Bengal great in Willie Anderson
Mm,
in his lineman academy. So he's got the pedigree. It's just going to be about him being disciplined, keeping himself in great shape, and learning his craft.
yep, I agree. I agree. Uh, yeah, and Dwight also says B.J. Hill, 3 of them sacks already. Actually, that's four. You got 4 sacks for B.J. Hill, so he's definitely doing his thing,
Now,
man,
see
and that
that
gives us
that I
another
don't know if it's hold the baby, or rock the cradle, whatever
rocks
it
the
is.
league.
It's all right. It's not like the Fat Man dance that Pecco used to do,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I'll take it. I'll take
Pecco was
it.
the man for that. Yeah, yeah, I love Pecco for that. But yeah, I'm liking the attitude they bring in, and it's a different mentality just because these guys that we got on the team, they don't know nothing about losing to those Steelers. They don't know. These guys are like, they coming from organizations like the Saints. They could beat the Steelers. You know what I mean? It wasn't a big deal going up against Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? It was just like Mike Daniels, like, man, I played for the Packers. Anytime we seen Pittsburgh, it was like we was
And
going. It was
and
nothing.
JB, Joe Burrow, man, he's got that same arrogance that he's always had.
Yep, it ain't
It's
going
like,
away.
man, bump Pittsburgh, bump the Steelers.
Yep.
Like, I don't care nothing about that, and you need that. I remember, and I'm a big Andy Dalton guy, but I remember several times, even during their playoff runs, where Marvin was asking him to be more of a, I mean, there's no other way to say it, more of a dick or more of a jerk. And I'm just using Marvin's terminology when he said that, but that's not really who Andy, is as a person. And I'm thinking back to the last time the Bengals had kind of that jerk at quarterback, and it was my favorite Bengals quarterback of all time, and the great Boomer Esiason.
Yeah, he
So
was.
I,
Yep.
I'm hoping that we get a little bit of that with Joe, but he's got some of those same makings. He does not get intimidated. He doesn't care about what used to happen. It's like this is what's going to happen from now on.
Yep, yep, exactly, exactly. It was just his mentality, talk about how he had to, get back in, in the lab pretty much and get the film going for Jacksonville because there's no time to celebrate this week. You get a win, you celebrate on the plane, but when you land, it's time to get back to work because we play Thursday, so that's definitely something where you just got a business like quarterback um who has the it factor, who has the intangibles to lead this team to places that maybe that we haven't seen in a while. Now score prediction: Jacksonville Bengals Thursday night. Now. Hold up, I'm gonna be in the building, so that makes I'm like 4-0 my last 4 games. Remember, now this is my first game in the Zach Taylor era. Week 1, so this will be my second game. So hopefully we can keep the streak going there. But what you got? What you got, man? What's the score?
We're going to keep the momentum going, and the Bengals are going to defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars 35-13.
Woo! You giving them a beat down. You giving them a beat down, and that's what I want to see. I want to see a score like that. I would love to see 35-13. For me, I think we'll win 31-14. I think we'll be efficient. I think we'll score a lot. And I think we'll just take care of business from jump. And this was what a team that's really about their business, a team that's growing, looking to get better. Let's see how they handle it because I felt like after week 1 they didn't handle success very well. Let's
And I
see
was
how
going
they
to say
handle.
that, like
Yeah,
it might sound crazy to some people, but you're going to learn a lot about the Bengals this week playing Jacksonville, team that they should go in and beat rather handily. How they are as far as their maturity level and what they're going to be able to stay focused and do the rest of the year. You're going to learn a lot after this game, whether they take care of business or do they haphazardly go about business.
yep, exactly, exactly. But hey, that's it, man. Hey, I got 31-14, got 35-13. Bengals with the dub. Hey, we just getting started here in life in the jungle. This was episode 6. Hey, so We might switch it up. We don't know. We gotta talk. We might switch it up just because it's a Thursday night game. We don't want may not want to wait till Monday to give you the latest scoop. So be on the lookout for that. But normally we are on Mondays, 7:30. Hey, Life in the Jungle, season 1, episode 6. We out.